Football fans, gooners of the world, welcome to the Uncensored Arsenal weekly show on Fridays with all the big guns, Ehab and Blackbird George.
More like old guns.
They're going to be firing away in a few after my little introduction. I just wanted to say before we get into the meat of the matter that we were mocked on Twitter the other day from having only about 50 subscribers, and I had to laugh because we only it's about not even 2 months ago we started and we had 0 subscribers. So I was like, if I do my math, that's an infinite growth. You have infinite growth, Blackbird George. But I thought a little perspective is necessary here. We admit, and I admit, since I started this project, that this is we are a little pebble in the ocean. But I don't know. My guests think this, but I think we have to do this. We have to make an effort because it is the people who are succeeding on YouTube are the same people who drove Wenger out of the club. The same people who said anybody but Wenger could make us challenge. The same people who said if you spend a lot of money, we will be closer to challenging. And these are the people today who have like 600,000 people when they stream. To me, it's crazy. And at least I am trying to provide, for those who don't want the same old, to provide an alternative point of view. So I really, in the Uncensored Arsenal team, a number of us, and I really want to thank you to the bottom of my heart for supporting this effort. It may it may succeed, it may not. But I'm long enough in the tooth to know if you don't make a try, the crazy people will take over. It's like in politics. The person who has been a disastrous leader, he just gets reelected, and then people wonder why the disaster continue. Guys, having my little soliloquy there. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Arsenal versus the rest. Who did the best business in the window? And there's no other person better than our good friend Ehab, our ex-agent, ex-scout. And Ehab, you say you're not living on your laurels, but you have your FIFA certification, and you work with a firm long years ago who is now big in the business. At the time they started, they owned Lennox Lewis as their big agent. But you were doing scouting, and you were sort of doing agency work for them. So Ehab, we thought today you could tell us in a little bit more detail, and George and I will listen to you and then pick your brain clean. Who did the best business, and how do you want to approach this? You tell me you're going to look at the big signings first. So you jump immediately into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah. Well, the people who did the best business are actually three teams. It's United, Chelsea, and West Ham.
Could you get a little bit into the? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll bring you up, Ehab, a little bit more central. Okay, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. The people who did the best business are Chelsea, United, of course, and West Ham United.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go down the line with them.
Actually, yeah. First of all, is the obvious one, which is Manchester United with Cristiano Ronaldo. Any window you sign Messi or Ronaldo in is a successful window. Then they have added Jadon Sancho, who's a highly coveted winger. He's young. He's gonna be there for a long time. He's like their new Ryan Giggs right now. And the best signing for them was Rafael Varane, who because they needed a defender. Even if they bought Maguire for 80 million, I think they have to replace him. He's not an 80 million defender. Rafael Varane for 2 or 3 years is going to give you a very good output. For me, he's the best defender in the world, even today, better than Van
Really?
Dijk. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's he doesn't have the physical presence of Van Dijk and still gives you the same results. He makes up for it with a little bit of speed, a little bit of anticipation, reading the game. and basics. He has the right basics. This guy played between Pepe and Sergio Ramos when he was 19. So he all he had to do is just sit back in training and watch, and he got everything right. Um, United are a title contender. The only
So
thing,
you think United are title contenders?
yeah, the only thing standing between them and the title is the money that City spent on their team. If United was in a league that City was not in, they would be running away with it. Um, I also like what Chelsea has have
Okay,
done.
before you go there, I want to hear what George has to say about that. George,
Good.
do you think George, do you think Manchester United are immediate title contenders?
Yeah, I do. I think, but I don't agree that it's the money that makes the difference between what them and City have spent. There's very little. I think it's the manager. Uh,
Yes.
One's got a world class manager, and the other's got an average manager at best. So I think that's what holds them back.
I tend to
But
agree with you, George.
absolutely, quality wise, they've got a phenomenal team. Whether the manager can bring it back, it's exactly like us. I mean, we haven't got the same quality of player, but the manager's what's holding us back, and the manager's what's holding them back.
Yeah,
So,
I
but
thought
I still think they're that good that they'll be in the mix.
well, they came second last year. But I think I always thought that the old Gunnar Solskjaer was a placeholder, and that's why I tend to agree with you. I he has all this talent, and it's very hard to mess up. Let's go back to Ehab and hear what he has to say about Chelsea. Yes, Ehab.
Yeah, Chelsea are CL winners, Champions League winners, and they have bought the most expensive player in history now, who was the leading scorer in Serie A, and he won the title. He took it away from Juventus with Conte and his team. He's in his prime. He's on a great run.
28
Lukaku,
years old.
yeah, he's on a great run. He was always going to be. The thing that Lukaku needed to learn um, is how to read the game and play the game. That's why Laurent Koscielny always gave him trouble because Laurent
One
Koscielny.
second there, Ehab.
Mhm.
Baiso says Cristiano was the leading scorer, not Lukaku. But
Oh,
but Cristiano was in yes in at Juventus. Maybe you want to correct that.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Keep going,
Yeah,
my friend. But I'm giving everybody who comes in a little chance to say something. This is like a conversation, not a
yeah,
one-way street.
she's probably right.
Mhm.
Now
He's always right.
the thing with Lukaku is he needed to learn how to play, how to read the game. That's why players like Koscielny always stopped him because they could read the game better than he did and earlier than he did. Nowadays, he just learned that playing. You have to remember that this guy played under the likes of Mourinho, who has no idea how to teach attackers what to do, and he's never had this presence next to him like Cavani or Ibra. Maybe a little bit in United, but he didn't give that. He didn't teach anything to Lukaku.
Yes.
Now he's learned that. He's got. I look at him, the way he shields people, the way he thinks when he's got the ball. He is what Chelsea needed. Chelsea created a lot of chances that they missed last year, and they have bought him for 115 million for a reason. He's going to take them that extra step. They have also signed somebody that I wanted to replace Aaron Ramsey, which is Saul
Oh
from
yes, Saul from Atletico. Yes.
what a signing. This kid has the longest um, contract in football history. 9 years with Atletico Madrid. When he was 19, they tied him up with a 9-year contract. I think I'm getting the age right. I'm not sure. And
By some
and
might correct us.
yeah,
Keep going.
maybe Barca could do some. and they gave him this. They gave him this big contract because he gives you everything. He's a lot like Ramsey. He passes, he shoots, he scores, he defends, he does everything. He's an upgrade over Kovacic, and I don't know how do you have that many options in midfield and not give away any of them. He
Yes.
has a CDM in Conte that's one of the best in the world. He has a deep playing midfielder in Jorginho, who's an anchor. Who's a distributor, who's like a Paul Scholes type of guy. He has Kovacic who can carry the ball forward, kind of like Ramsey did, or Vieira, or whatever. And now he added Saul to that. Now he could simply go against weaker teams and just swarm them. Just go at them with Kovacic and Saul right down the middle, to be added to two good wingers and
Yes.
Lukaku up top. And
Right. So he can play Werner and Havertz a little wider and put
yep,
Lukaku up top.
and Chelsea had a great one because they sold so many players at very high prices, which is something we cannot do anymore. They got 20 million for a guy who's yet to score in the Premier League. This guy who Patrick Vieira bought, Goody. I've never
Who knows? Yeah, how they
20.
get that? But by Ehab, what does that? Where do you think they're? Do you think they're title challengers? You already said United is.
Yeah, it's these three, and Liverpool is a little bit of an outsider.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, it's these three who are gonna challenge for the title, depending on as George said, depending on the manager. I think Ole is not a good manager and not a bad manager, but he's at that point where he's not an obstacle to the team anymore, where the
Let's
team
let, let,
will play at its level.
let me hear what George has to say. Georgia, what do you think of Lukaku? 108 million pounds, they say. And then Saul, like I saw him in a few Champions League games for Atletico. I'm no expert on him, but he was he looked a very very important player in their midfield. Chelsea looks like a challenge. Doesn't he agree with Ehab on this?
Yeah, again, absolutely agree with it. Both are huge upgrades, particularly Lukaku. Uh, I mean, he's going to score and give them something that they just never had before. Uh, and as Ehab says, the depth is ridiculous. I think Jorginho's way underrated.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
By the way,
With,
George, I saw Rio Ferdinand on some Sky Sport. That guy is he dumb or what? Lashings that Chelsea didn't have a midfielder, Jorginho and Kovacic. I was like, what the hell is he smoking? Well, man, he was on weed, but keep going, my friend. Or something stronger, high
well,
grade.
I mean, it's just outrageous that he says that when United are putting out Fred and McTominay as the first
Exactly.
as the, as the first choice. But that's the manager's decision. They've got to have better players than them at United, and Ole just can't fit them in. But yeah, Chelsea contenders, United contenders. I think not because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Chelsea, yeah. Manchester City, obviously,
Yes.
and Liverpool depends on injuries for them. If they get the best 11 out week in, week out, then they'll be challenging as well. But they've not done much business. But
No, they haven't done. I have always said they're very smart. They're just copying something from the Wenger playbook. Ehab, you wanted to also then talk about West Ham before we go into the mid-table category with
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Actually, West Ham are smart. They lost Lingard because they couldn't extend his loan.
Yeah, they couldn't afford his fees.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he
So
back at United?
I think so. Yeah. So what
Or
they
he's,
did,
he's gonna get any game time.
yeah, yeah. What they did is they got that Croatian guy, Vlasic, and he's going to be a surprise signing. He's gonna make up for Lingard, And the fact that they are putting next to him, they have next to him this Saeed bin Rahma.
Yes.
Uh, this
Starting to
kid,
score goals.
this kid is going to be a contender for Player of the Season.
Really?
Uh, yeah, yeah, he's a think of an Eden Hazard reincarnation. He's just a really good player, and the way David Moyes sets up his midfield, this guy Slavic is going to be a very big signing for them. He's going to be a great creator. He's a big guy. He's a great passer. He's a great scorer. Um, just give him a couple of games to get settled in, and he's going to be a big impact. And they went and bought Kurt Zuma.
Yes,
Uh,
I noticed that.
if you remember Kurt Zuma, 1 year ago he was the star for a Chelsea team that was in the top four. He was the starting defender under Frank Lampard. He scored, I think, 5 goals or
Yes,
something
I
like
was
that.
about to say that.
Yeah,
Most of
and
them headed.
he's got speed, he's got strength, and this makes up their back line now has a lot of speed, a lot of strength, and a lot of size. And it's impossible to play against this guy. These people, it's going to be a nightmare to try to go up like Arsenal with our game plan. I, we don't score anyway, but I think we deserve to get -1 against West Ham. West Ham, it's just they have a lot. They have a great defense that I don't think we're even gonna be able to get a couple of shots off.
Before I bring George to comment on what you said, one of the problems we have at in our club is that I don't think we watch other teams that well. So what is and in that regard, West Ham is thoroughly and David Moyes is, in my estimation, thoroughly underrated. How does he set up this team? How is this team set up to succeed? I want to bring George back in, but just explain to the audience, because I don't know, I don't think we really. When I listen to some people, I don't think they're really watching the game.
Yeah, what David Moyes does is he sets up his defensive midfield in a way that he totally controls the game. He plays Declan Rice
Okay,
and the other guy, the other CDM, what's his name? Uh,
you have to call the name.
I forgot the name.
I'm
He's,
a,
a,
okay.
he's a,
Keep going on.
anyway, and what he does is he has the balance. He's the most balanced manager in the Premier League. If,
Really?
if you look at Pep Guardiola, he attacks too much and relies on fouls until someone gets back. Klopp does the same. He relies on pressure. If pressure is broken, then you have with the idiocracy of Alexander Arnold, he's going to always be exposed. People have figured that out a little bit. David Moyes can attack with numbers, and you can counter him and find that he already has numbers on defense.
Yes.
Uh, he's the longest running manager. I think he missed a year or two, but he was 10 years at Everton, and they were always the top six team, a top 10 team, a top like always
Top
in the top.
five. Top five.
Yeah, he got to the top five, and he finishes in sixth place, seventh place. He always finishes in these for 10 years straight, and then he goes to United, where they just destroy him for no reason. If you give David Moyes time to set up his team, he's going to give you complete balance. You are not going to catch him exposed on defense. And when he goes on offense, there are always numbers because he sets up his two CDMs with two big defenders behind them. He allows his fullbacks to go up front one at a time.
Mhm.
And he has always had quick wingers and a target man. He always had that. The other CDM is Sushik, who
Oh,
was
you mean the tall guy, the tall guy.
the one who's the Sushik is the one
Yeah,
the Czech guy from
yeah,
the
the
Czech.
big tall guy that always goes up for corners.
This guy, this
Yeah.
Sushik I think he was the best CDM in the Premier League last year or something like that. And yeah, so he has these two big players in the middle, Declan Rice and Sushik. And the guy who attacks like Lingard, he has no defensive responsibilities whatsoever. he can just. That's why Lingard scored so many goals at West Ham. It's not because he had a breakthrough season. Like he woke up one day and Pele touched him in his dreams and he became a good player. This is not it. He's been a good player, but he needed the system to be free, to just roam free and don't have any defensive uh, responsibilities and come back. And he needed a distraction like Mikel Antonio. He
Right,
needed
right. By the way,
a,
Ehab, I need to bring George in here. What are you saying about them? What are they like? What are they? They're gonna finish ahead of us again. I'm gonna bring George on this note. Are they gonna, in your opinion,
I think so.
George, West Ham, they'll finish ahead of us again?
Absolutely.
With Mikel Antonio has turned up. By the way, George, I didn't know. I forgot that he was a right back. He's an animal now. But keep going, George.
Yeah, I think they will finish both. As regards David Moyes, I think the problem with Moyes is the perception of him.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was he went into Manchester United and the shadow of Alex Ferguson loomed large.
Yes, absolutely.
And instead of just going in and carrying on as it had been, he wanted to make a statement about himself. And he changed too much too quickly.
Yes.
To try and show that he was in charge, he was the man, a bit like Arteta did.
Yes.
Came in and wanted everything to be in his image, and making silly mistakes like showing videos of the Everton defence to Rio Ferdinand and everyone. That was. But the reason he did it was to try and show these people that he knew as much as a top manager needs to know. He could tell them things they didn't know. He was trying to make a point. But the team was on a decline. They didn't give him a chance, and he failed miserably. And he did fail miserably. For Manchester United to fall as quickly as they did under him was fairly embarrassing.
They came 5th or 6th that year, right? 5th or 6th.
I understand why he did it. So again, I agree with Ehab that his management style it's basically basic. It's the old-fashioned way of how people would set a team up. 4 defenders, big, strong lads, 1 fullback going forward at a time, 2 holding midfielders, solid in midfield. That's basic. That's how people who don't know anything about the team, about football and tactics, would set the team up. It's the most basic of formations, but it works. And the reason it's the most basic formation is because it yields results.
Yes.
Year in, year out, decade in, decade out. And that's what Moyes does. He puts into action a tried and tested system. There's nothing clever about it. There's no Genga pressing or overlapping, pirouetting. Overlapping, pirouetting fucking wing backs. It's basic stuff, and it works, and it'll always work. And if he has the better players he gets, the better they'll do. And yeah, they'll finish well above us. Absolutely, they will.
But George, nobody in Arsenal wants to admit that. Did he come to West Ham about the same time like Arteta? Remember?
Yeah.
That one has been quickly forgotten. And look at what he's done. And his players have improved, George. I mean, look at the striker there. He's gotten better.
Yeah, but players improve anyway, don't they? Some players do develop. You can't.
Well,
it's like people tell you Smith Rowe and Saka have improved under Arteta.
Yeah.
Well, they probably have improved if I'd have been the manager, because they're at an age and of a quality that they're going to improve with age anyway. So, you can't give managers too much credit for a massive improvement in a player, because that's just the way it goes. Some players just come through at different stages in their career. But Moyes, he's seen where Antonio's best to be played, and he plays him there. And it's My one worry for West Ham is that if anything happens to Antonio, injury wise, they'll probably struggle without him. But
and he's
other than
injury
that,
prone, George. Let's not forget because he's such a finely tuned muscular specimen. He's prone to these muscular injuries that take him out for 2-3 games. But I think you make a good point, and you're always my counselor here. But what I think Moyes does is put his players in a position to um to be effective. That's what he does. And I none of this persecuting players because you don't agree with the manager. I don't see that at West Ham. Um Ehab. So now we get into the middle three, the middle range, and I don't know if we're gonna even get to the bottom, but
Just to
because
get
I'm not gonna make this too long. And
just to go faster, I will
yes,
through the rest of them. What I like is Aston Villa,
they spent over
and
100 million pounds.
yeah, I like what they've done because they got the money from the Grealish.
I know.
They have replaced well, and Leicester a little bit. They have done some necessary business that made them a little bit better, and this is painful. Tottenham has done well.
Yeah, I've been
Uh,
wondering about that. What did they do? Tell
so
us.
they had a they bought this Sar, which from the French league, who's actually this Nuno,
New
their
coach.
skip the coach actually likes this type of player. He's done this with Dendoncker at Wolves. This guy is a CDM, and he's going to use him as the middle CB and the three at the back, and he's going to let him go a little bit up front sometimes as a CDM. It's I like how what Nono plays. He plays a 5-3-2, and it's the origins of football. The origins of football was the original tactic in football is something called MW. We will
Yes.
talk about it later. It was invented by Herbert Chapman of all people, and in the 1920s. But after that came the German team in 1970s under Helmut Schon, and he
Yes.
did this, and he had this 5-3-2 that was a copy of the MW that everybody loved, and he won a World Cup with it, and they was
Yeah.
effective,
The
and
one
they
at
kept
home. The one at home, correct?
the 1974 one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I was too young, but that's it. So this is what Nuno is doing, and he's going to use this guy in the middle. He kicked out anybody that's borderline, like Toby Underfield, Serge Aurier, Lamela, Rose. He cleaned. This is how he cleaned the deadwood.
Yes.
Everybody who's not doing their part, just fuck off, get out of here. And or anybody who's causing headache, like Toby Underveld,
Yes.
who's every year he's like, will he stay? Will he not stay? Blah blah blah. And the most important thing for them is that they kept Harry Kane.
Yes.
They have Son and Kane up top. They have bought this Gil, the Spanish kid, who's a really good player,
Emer.
and
Okay.
they have this CDM who's going to play on a CB. So
Who is this?
these
Who is this guy, Christian Romero from Atalanta? And also they picked up this guy Emerson Royal from Barcelona. He's a right back, I think. Before George
he's
comes in and tell us what are their prospects.
I haven't watched them much, but I have watched Gil a couple of times, and
Oh,
he's a
Brian
really
Gill.
yeah. He's a really skilled player. He's really highly skillful, and they needed the right back. He always needs good right and left backs. If you look back at his time at Wolves, this Doherty was like the
Yes.
was yeah, he was like the best right back in the league. He was not. He was the best right back because his role was really big at Wolves. So he always needs the right and left backs to just bomb forward and help with the play. So this is big for him. He bought what he needed, and he kept his two best players. He extended Son, kept Kane, and he bought a CDM that can play CB. Everything he needed, he got. He didn't spend much money, and he
But
kept his best
a
two players
hundred
back.
a hundred million pounds is not much money. But anyway, but where do you see them? They're gonna finish ahead of us, in your opinion, isn't that it?
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring
yeah,
George
yeah.
back in here. Tell us
Yeah, they,
before
they're gonna do top six, top eight, maybe top six, top eight. They're not a bad team.
George. What do you think of Tottenham? They spent. I
Yeah,
go ahead.
shit. What do you think of Tottenham? What do you think of shit? No, yeah, they've improved. Nuno's a decent yet uninspiring manager. Again, it's a basic system, as Ehab says, and it'll work effectively. Uh, and they do have Kane and Son up top. They'll absolutely. Will they finish above us? Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow, you're not that. We meet them on the 20th of September, George. Come on. Oh my God. So Ehab, let's go to the teams amongst us. Um, come on, talk about Arsenal versus
Yeah,
those that lot.
actually, this is the teams that concern us the most. Arsenal has. Let me do an unbiased opinion. Just this is the facts. We have bought well. We have bought good players. We have spent money, but maybe we could have spent less on these players. But we have bought. I say Ben White, Odegaard, Tavares, Lokongo, and Ramsdale. Did we buy anybody else?
You're missing the right back.
Tom-
Tamayasu.
yeah, so yeah, and then we kept Chaka. We extended him. We extended Emmitt Smith Rowe, and we kept Lacazette, Eddie, and Balogun. So we have maintained the big squad. Um, I don't. It's a great buy. And we haven't bought like seven huge players in the team. We have bought a couple that's going to break into the starting lineup, but the rest are backup and rotation players. So to ease things up, make up when there's an injury or a busy schedule, and this is actually good. We're making the squad bigger, and we have rotations for every spot, and they are good quality players. Ben White is a good player. Odegaard is a very good player, and he's needed. We needed to create more chances. Ramsdale is a good backup. Are not very convinced with Leno, and whenever he jumps into the team, he's going to do it. We let Bayern go, so we needed to bring someone. The left back, we needed the left back for the longest of times to be backup left back. This Tavares is a good idea. So we got what we needed. This is a really, really good buys for this transfer window. Now, my opinion differs, but this is the fact that we have in front of us.
But we are. But what
My
is the
opinion,
Achilles heel? Not uh,
it's the
is
it's, it's the
everybody
system,
who
it's the
is
system and the manager.
well?
The,
Say that before I go to George.
it is. We are
Tell
going
us
to.
about the system. What is it? What is the system?
It doesn't matter how many people you buy. We've been acting wrong. We've sold Joe Willock. We've been shopping Arsenal, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. We've been shopping Eddie Nketiah. We have been buying young players while we're selling our own young players. We haven't learned anything from the
Exactly.
yeah, we haven't learned anything from the Emmy Martinez debacle, which is it's better to keep the homegrown player and sell the new guy, especially when he's not English, and then to sell the homegrown player, because Joe Willock, it doesn't matter if he plays well this season, he scores like 15 goals, and someone comes in like City and wants to buy him for 50 million. If he's at Arsenal, there's a discussion that do I go or not? If City offered him 300,000, would we offer him 225? He stays. But Lokongo, if City offer him 300,000
He's
and we
gone.
off- and we offer him 295, he's gone.
Yes, yes.
And
I get
and
your
and
point.
and you look at Saka and Emmett Smith Rowe. Someday there's going to be an agent talking to the in the right in their ear and saying, "Look what they've done to the people who stayed. Look where they ended up. Look what they done to Emmy. Look what they're doing to AMN. They're benching him, and now they are shopping him around. Look what they done to Ozil. And just if this team doesn't get out of the top like eight, if we don't go to the top six or top four, these two are gone. We cannot keep our players anymore. It's impossible because we haven't done our players right. We have done them wrong, and that's it.
Ehab, me and George had a preliminary discussion on this platform before. Where do you see us finishing,
Us, I think eighth again. Sixth is an achievement.
George? You have had a lot to say about this, but what do you think of what Ehab said? Finally, we have him in the ring. He's the scout. He's a guy.
Well, I think he's dreaming if he thinks Manchester City are going to come in for Joe Willock. But
But
that
you get
aside,
this drift, though.
but I get his drift, and I think where we finish is impossible to calculate because I don't know how long Arteta's going to be in charge, and I've said it before. We'll be lucky to get 12th if we stick with Arteta, and given the bad start, no matter who comes in, we'll be lucky to get top 8. So it's but the team is good enough to challenge for between 8th and 5th.
I'm going to bring you back, Ehab, but here's my 2 cents. There is this view on Twitter on these same YouTubers who are dominant that we're going to play all these youngsters and that Arteta's system was probably going to work. But at the same time, they're demanding that we get rid of Xhaka, the best midfielder we have. My view is this is a disaster waiting to happen. I don't know if you agree. I mean, the system that didn't work last year, you're not selling a PR that this is a youth project. We started with 4 at the back, then we end up at 3 at the back, then the senior going back to 4 at the back. It is muddled, and people are trying to sell this as some huge project. I don't you see on the face of it, it's altogether muddled, and they're selling us PR that this will get better.
Yeah,
Ehab,
I see what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is really a good idea, but it's just that an idea. There's nothing that's going to. It's really hard. It's like like imagine trying to instate the Islamic rule in England, ban the drinks and build mosques instead of pubs, and
yes.
this kind of this is not gonna work. And
Actually, I should bring George back in. I want to see the look on his
yeah,
face on
the
that
thing is,
idea.
it's I mean you look at it and it's an idea, and some people would think, oh, okay, maybe it's a good idea, but anything like the changes that had to be made are huge, and we've already 500 million we spent
Yes,
already, and this is not counting the salaries of William, Cedric, Party, and David Luiz. Like David Luiz was put like 8 million. He cost us 20 something, and
and the
just
payoff and the payoff and the payoff to Ozil is like 17 million.
yeah, the payoffs to everybody, and all this money that we are spending just to get people away. Now, if you wanted to spend this much money and wait 3.5 years, why the hell did you let Arsene Wenger go? Well, we wanted to get rid of Arsene Wenger because our patience has run off. We can't do this anymore. But he didn't give him any money. He was in top four. Call me crazy, but climbing from second to first is much easier than climbing from 20th to first. You know, yeah, I think it's gonna cost less, and it's going to take a little bit shorter, maybe. Just if you look at us at fourth for 3 years in the top four, and you think, okay, maybe if I spend 550 million, maybe that will get us to first. You're spot on. But if you look at us 3 years at eighth, and now we're lying in 20th, and you think, okay, let me put 550 million in this team, and this is the waste of fucking money. But it's stupid. It's totally stupid. I can't believe what that we're doing, what we're doing. I can't see. I want to be positive, but this is same old. What we doing is the same old shit. We haven't been creating anything, and now after 3 games, we have 8 shots on target. We
Well,
how much?
you won't have any dispute with us. Me and George went over that in our class to podcast slash YouTubes. So, who are the guys who are going to overhaul us next to us, and what did they do? The business they did, Ehab. We need to get into that before we call it a day.
Guys that can overhaul us?
Yes, or will be in front of us, and they're around us right now. Well, based on last year's table, and who did good business? Can't you think of anybody else? What
Like,
about Aston Villa, for
yeah,
instance?
yeah. I see the top three that we talked about: the City teams and Chelsea, Liverpool in fourth. Then you got Leicester City, you got West Ham, and you got Tottenham. You
They will
got
be ahead of us in your estimation already. We discussed that. What about Aston Villa? Those teams,
Aston
Leeds that
Villa.
are coming
Aston
up on us.
Villa,
Did
I
they
think,
do good business? In your opinion?
yeah, they did good business, but they're gonna need time. They might start a little bit slow, and I don't know if they can catch up. I think Leeds United are gonna finish on top of us this
You
year.
really think so?
I think it will be a miracle if we finish on top of them. Leeds United. I've been talking to some Leeds fans, and they have spent like 30 million or something. They bought Daniel James, and they bought a left back Frippo from Barcelona. And the Leeds United fans are like, yeah, we bought a couple of players, but we didn't need any additions to the team. Their team sucks. It's the worst team in the PL. Are you serious? You look at what his name, Alioki or
Alioski, yes, yes, yes.
Alioski. Their center backs are the worst center backs to ever play in the Premier League, and they have a 19-year-old keeper, a 20-year-old keeper, and Kelvin Phillips is their midfield anchor with Dallas, who nobody would buy, who nobody would have Dallas in their team as a midfielder, and they have two wingers that those are the best players. Rafinha, Harrison on the left side, he's a reject from City, the American guy. What's his name? Is Harrison?
I don't.
Uh,
Is he
and
American? Go ahead, go. Yeah, I don't
and we
remember.
have, we have Patrick Bamford.
Yes, as a striker.
If you take Patrick Bamford today and you put him in Manchester City team, he will not start up. I mean, he will be worse than Gabriel Jesus, and he will not even start. He would rarely be on the bench. But the manager has made a system where everything works, and now he bought Daniel James, who runs a lot, which he likes, and he bought Frippo, and now he has Rafinha, who's a really skilled player, and he's going to be a star this year. And everybody is afraid from Rafinha. He's 28 million. He's bought Rafinha for 28 million 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and from the French league, and people are talking about Rafinha like this Cristiano Ronaldo. Like when you play against Leeds, everybody's asking, "What do you think about Rafinha?" Is the manager has put him in a spot to use his talents to the most, and they're gonna finish on top of us. I'm 100% sure. I'm not sure about Tottenham. I'm sure about Leeds.
George, you hear that? That is no, that is a revolutionary statement here today. Leeds will outdo us this year. Your thoughts on this? And
I'm not sure about Leeds. I'm not sure about Leeds. I'm not sure about uh, Aston Villa. I'm not sure about us. They could, any of us could have a decent season and finish mid table. That's a good season for us. If we finish mid table, we've done well. The way it's going, I mean, we've no points, 0 points, 0 goals, and if we don't beat bloody Norwich, we could end up 6 games in and not a point on the board, and maybe not even a goal scored. I know it sounds doom and gloom, but God, this sort of start to a season is very, very difficult to recover from. I mean, confidence is down, the system doesn't work. You're bringing players in for a system that's not worked up to now. The players aren't really ready for the top half of the table that they might be one day. They've all got talent. They've all got prospects. But, we bought Ben White. He can only play in a 3. So we're going to be playing a thing. We've had to buy the Emperor Hirohito to play along.
Yes.
And he's more of a centre back, so he can cover for Ben White's inability to fucking head the ball. It might work. It might, but
George, you're making an argument for Leeds. That's what you're doing right there.
Well, I mean, obviously, Leeds have a much worse squad than us and a much better manager.
Yeah.
So work it out for yourselves. It could go either way. Couldn't it? The players could pull Arteta through, or the manager could pull Leeds through. I don't know. I don't know whether we'll finish above them or not. But I know that if Bielsa had the Arsenal fucking squad, we'd be a lot better off than we are at the moment.
Well, guys, it's 45 minutes. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, Ehab. You've done a job there showing us how the top teams are going to do much better than they did last year, it seems. The business they did. I was surprised at the business Tottenham did. I was very well informed by what you think. Yeah, most of our fans don't still regard them as shit, but on the 20th of September, we'll see how good they are. I'll end on this note before I go to the usual mantra. Be honest, George is right. You don't start a season 3 games with losses. You see that happen to teams that get relegated. They come up and they get trashed their first 4 or 5 games and they never recover. I'm trying to be balanced here because George is my balancer, but it's very. If Norwich comes up desperate for a win, and we lose that game, it's going to be very, very difficult.
We've made it.
And to have young kids in a man's game trying to keep their spirits up, be very professional, and to fight every game and to get, as they say, take every game as it is. No, the shadow, as Wenger used to say, the stain of the past defeats dogs you, and the stadium will be a cauldron of negativity. The fans that we have on the road will be barracking you as you come out. It is very difficult as a kid. I don't know if you understand this. We are old coots, and we can take that in our stride. These guys, maybe they are millionaires, but they're kids. They've never felt this kind of adversity. And that's the psychological part that concerns me. Because as I said last night, if we're getting a relegation scrap, the club will be desperate to get Big Sam in. And Big Sam will get rid of all the kids because he knows they can't take the pressure. You see what I'm saying? So
they won't get Big Sam in.
I know, but you know the kind of mentality.
You know what I'm saying? Tony, yeah, I know what you're saying, but we've got a good squad. But Arteta's got them playing basically as bad as it's possible for those players to play. So it could go horribly wrong, but it could go right as well.
Oh, yeah.
Let's try and keep a level head and not be saying we're going to be in a relegation battle, because we've got some terrific players, and all they have to do is play their game in a system that works. Whether Arteta can get his system to work, I very much doubt. But this start worries me. I mean, it really does. It's like a boxer going out in a 12-round fight and get sat on his ass in the first 3 rounds. And you're saying, don't worry, he'll come good at the end. He's got to get to the end. It's not that easy. Right. Once you've been on your ass, it's a long way back. It's a miracle if you win the fight and you've been sat on your ass 3 times in the first 3 rounds. And that's basically where we are now. We're sat on our ass, looking up at everybody, We're holding the fucking lot up.
Yeah, this is what I think.
You have a final word before I go.
No, it's okay. I was just. This is people would say, "Well, what do you think we would finish?" And I would joke and say, "I don't think we can finish this season if we if it stays like this. If we lose all the games up to Tottenham and Tottenham come in and spank us, I think by halftime there will be 20,000 spectators in the middle of the field, just refusing to let the team go back out. Can you imagine like having 6 games with no we've never seen it. We've had a bad
Never. Yeah.
season under Wenger where we was 17th after like 6 games or something like that.
Something.
But we were in top 4 by Christmas, and that's it. And we never know what happens.
Well, guys, the audience, like, remember, this is our effort at providing an alternate point of view. The people, same old, same old. We're trying to keep an open mind. Remember, this channel will never grow without you liking and subscribing and giving us a support. Thank you very much for listening and for viewing. Thank you, Ehab. Thank you, Blackburn George.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.